Welcome along to the Christmas 28 stream with Crowd v Bank and assorted others from around the world.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Yeah, so this is a Christmas celebration, I suppose, for Julian Assange, who's been in the embassy for 6.5 years now, and we thought we'd just say nice things about him and support him here. And we're very fortunate to have a whole lot of the vigilists on who are actually at the embassy guarding him live now. And as well as we have Meg Sherman, who's a wonderful singer and composer and artist. And also we have Alex Hills on, who's we're just seeing her Christmas tree at the moment. I think she's getting breakfast or something like that. But she does wonderful actions for Julian, and she's a wonderful violinist as well. And we're hoping to have some other guests along as well. And that was Joe Booth at the start, who's our tech guru, and on top of everything else. So that song was by Alex, and she'll be back soon to talk about it. But shall we go to the vigilists in London to say hi from showing at the moment on Angel Fox's phone, but is Ciaron.
Hello.
Hey, Ciaron.
Yeah. Just going to do a little introduction and then introduce you to some of the people here. So I guess our effort has come out of the Catholic worker tradition, which is originally Christian anarchist pacifist, and I guess it's a radical tradition. And the word radical is not a scary word, and it's not a word left over from the 1960s. It's a Latin word, and it means to return to the roots, like the word radish, to do with roots. And we encourage all people to go back to their roots and tradition, whether it be Maori or Irish or Aboriginal or Buddhist or whatever, because every tradition gets co-opted. And we just had a young man here from Nevada, from Reno, who'd been 8 times to the Burning Man Festival, and he was talking how it originally came out of a fairly anarchic scene in San Francisco, but how co-opted it has become now with celebrity tickets and Paris Hilton and stuff, you know. So that happened pretty rapidly to Burning Man. And the Christians, it took about 300 years. For 300 years were illegal in Rome, regarded as atheists, because they wouldn't worship state-sanctioned gods, which were quite pluralistic. So I guess it being Christmas, it's worth reflecting on that a little. And for radical Christians, Christmas only makes sense when you take into context the Feast of the Holy Innocents that follows on the 28th of December, after the Christ child is born. The Magi, who've been injuncted by King Herod, a Jewish king collaborating with the Roman Empire, to return with information where the Christ child is, so he can kill him, seeing him as a threat. And they break that injunction. I myself were injuncted under British aerospace, not to invite anyone to interfere with their legitimate business, which is at the moment is killing children in Yemen. The Prime Minister, May's husband, being the largest shareholder of British aerospace, is literally making a killing in Yemen today. My godson, Ben Griffin, who was in the parachute regiment in Ireland and Macedonia and Afghanistan, and later with the SAS in Iraq, under injunction of the High Court, not to talk about any experience he had in the British military, at the risk of going to prison. And we both, in our own ways, continue to break those injunctions, just like the Magi did. So that's interesting in terms of, it's supposed to be in a liberal democracy that guarantees free speech. And so we're here at Harrods. I don't know if that's in relation to Herod, but and we're here standing in solidarity with Julian Assange, who sustained a 24/7 vigil initially in the summer for 3 weeks before going to Dublin to to beseech the Pope to intervene, and we still hope that will happen. The Pope is from South America, operated as a Jesuit. When the US client state, Argentinian generals, were assassinating radical priests and nuns and laity there in the 70s. So he knows what American power looks like. And we believe that the Pope is about to go to Ecuador in the new year. So we're hoping that intervention will occur. But we're from a variety of traditions. There's a lot of lapsed Catholics here, and people into the shaman traditions, and people have their own personal spirituality, and also Angel is more from an evangelical tradition. So we celebrate all those traditions. Many of the people who relate to us, who are the working poor here in Knightsbridge, who serve the rich, whether they're parasecurity or whatever, are Muslim and Buddhist and refugees from wars that were begun here in the UK and in the United States. And they can relate easily and empathize with Julian's position. And Julian's in trouble primarily for exposing the high crimes of the United States around the world. And that's why he's been in this building in a situation of sensory deprivation. So we complain when it rains, but Julian has felt no rain for 6.5 years, or heat, or variety in climate. He can't see more than 5 meters. He can't have his health issues, whether they be dental or other physical issues, dealt with in any hospital. So, you know, sometimes the reality that hits us like a wave, you know, and other times we're trying to sustain ourselves. Like today we had a Christmas dinner on the footpath here with humor and with analysis. Sometimes a wave, and also seeing Julian's dad over the last few days visiting his son. And like any prison visit, tragedy when you leave a prison or a place of detention, whether it be Nauru or any place like that, or that you leave people behind who can't come with you. So it gets very real and very human and very personal. So what we're going to do is introduce you to a variety of people. The first one is a Londoner from the Irish diaspora, and he'll take the seat now. So, Angel, can you remove the earpiece? And we go. Can you put that in there? In his ear? Yeah.
Thanks very much, Karen.
If you also turn the phone landscape, we might get a slightly wider picture as well. If it's one of these ones that flips around, yeah, that might be better. Yeah.
Good day. Are we on?
Yes.
Ah, nice. Bonjour le monde. Joyous Noël, y'all. Okay, that's enough of the mask. The masks are coming off. New pieces out.
Is that a finger over the lens?
Supported Julian here. My name's Patrick. I think Kieran's just done a really good synopsis and background of like the motivations and Julian's situation. The thing that I'd like to say to WikiBees and the world is, if you notice, like The Guardian, I think today is the 4th week anniversary of The Guardian printing outright lies about some geezer called Paul Manafort visiting him here at the embassy. And Wikileaks has started a GoFundMe to sue The Guardian. And this is something that really needs supporting. And there's a bit of background context for that. Some people might know this, some people might not. But like London and the British law system is like a prime tool for the rich to pay big time lawyers lots and lots of money, sort of like, you know, do lawfare and silence people by the use of the libel laws and all sorts of stuff like this. So for WikiLeaks to take this on, I mean, I've seen comments on Twitter where they say like on other things, like they should sue them there, they should, you need loads and loads of money to sue people. So they don't sue people a lot of the time, they just let the truth out, which is the way that things are working out really well. But this time, The Guardian really needs to be sued, because The Guardian is a primo example in its relationship to the media here in the UK as the kind of like the fake liberal, the fake left. It really needs, this is the time to call it to account, and this is the actual opportunity to do it, and the reason for doing it, and the justification. So that's my contribution. I've watched previous Wikibees, and I don't know what else to say on that one. I mean, since 2010, for me, since 2010 and becoming aware of Chelsea Manning, Bradley as it was then, some soldier boy is melting in a tent in the desert, and it's something to do with this WikiLeaks, this collateral murder video that's so, right. Well, that's the turning point, right? And we're going to win this one. You know, big up and free Julian Assange. What are you going to do, Ciaron? You're going to...
So our next vigil Greece and also a London.
Hi, Nozomi.
Hi.
Ciaron, just watch where your finger is over the lens there.
So, hiya.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
We've got you.
What? Oh, it's very bright. Yeah, hiya. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. So, so here we are at the embassy in Knightsbridge. It's bloody cold, and we've been here. Well, I've been here most of the day today, and just a couple of minutes ago, Julian's father's turned up,
Oh,
and he's just gone inside.
cool.
So, that's always really, really nice to see.
Yes.
Yeah, really, really nice guy. He's very humble, and brought along chocolate cake for the few of us who were here yesterday.
Oh, very nice.
And so it's nice to know that someone's in there with Julie on Christmas Day.
Yes, wonderful. Because the embassy, yes.
Sorry?
Well, they were worried that the embassy would be shut down around Christmas and he wouldn't be allowed any guests. So it's wonderful that he is allowed a guest. Yes, his father.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we weren't sure about that either. So really good. There's 6 of us here, I think 6 or 7 of us here. So I mean, the numbers are always quite low, So
Yes.
shout out to anyone who can come down. It's like 8 million people in London, so it'd be nice to get a few more people, or anywhere, anyone from anywhere. But anyway, Ciaron's keeping the 24/7 vigil going, which is really good.
Yes.
Ciaron and Angel. So that's great, and then so more people come down to support them. And that's sort of the best, the best that we can all do, isn't it?
Yes. What's your name?
My name's Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. Very nice to meet you, and we really appreciate the people. It is cold there, as you say, isn't it? And difficult for people to come out. You have to make a real commitment.
Yeah. We had our Christmas dinner on the street here today.
Oh, very nice.
So that's quite good. I think we're the only people in England eating Christmas dinner outside this year. But do you have any questions or?
Oh, well, I don't know. Does anyone have any questions? What is your, why are you there personally?
Sorry?
Why are you there personally?
Oh,
On
I'm
Christmas, no less.
here. Yeah. Well, we're all here to support Julian.
Yes.
So this is what we do. I've been coming down quite a lot, especially since March, and there's quite a group of us who sort of take it in turns on a rota sort of thing, to so that none of us have to stay here for any great long length of time, because as you know, it is cold here now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have a message for Julian?
All the best for the new year.
Great.
Okay, so there's somebody else here who's ready to talk to you.
Yes.
So I will now pass you over. All the
Yeah,
best.
thanks very much, Lisa. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Lise. Next up is from France, Sylvie.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, Sylvie.
Oh, hi. Nice to meet you. I'm Sylvie from France. And it's my second visit in this place. And it's quite surrealist for me, actually, to be here and to realize that this man is a prisoner in this embassy, and that well, what can we do about it? I mean, we can only be there and support him. Huh?
Yes.
And yes, on this level, I'm more on the emotional level, I would say, supporting him. And yeah, that's really terrible. But I'm quite surprised, actually. I would expect more people to be present in this place. Because when you hear his story, it's like just surrealist. How can he be the victim of this? How can I call it? Like it's a bit of a. Is it a trap or something like that? I don't know how to call it. By the media.
Yes. Yes, it's become his prison, hasn't it?
Mm. Yeah. I don't know how it is inside. There is light, and we don't see him, obviously. But I'm wondering how he lives every day. I mean,
yes.
My friend was telling me he might be reading books. I don't think he has a phone. Otherwise, that would have been more convenient for him, I would say.
Yes.
No, because we need people around us to I would say, to be all right mentally, I would say.
Yes, he's been isolated, which is terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, I'm here because I believe that the situation can change. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I believe that that we can make justice for him, I would say.
Yes. I think everyone who shows up and shows that commitment, it's wonderful. It shifts people's thinking, and people care about him, and people become aware of his story. Once you know his story, you will probably support him, won't you?
Yeah. We have to free him.
Yes.
We have to. Well. Anyway, but nice to meet you, huh? And maybe see you another time, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Bye.
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 Thanks very much, Sylvie.
Here.
Merci bien. I failed French at school, but hopefully that's okay. So next we have from Polska, Arkadiusz, working on the pronunciation of his name, but here he comes.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Bruce.
Hi, Arkadiusz. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too, and anyone who's joining us. It's Christmas Day, and the most special in Western world day for our civilization, culture. And I'm here with everyone else to underscore that Julian Assange is a human being. Today is a day that everyone should understand after so many years of his isolation, that Julian Assange is a human being with all emotions and is suffering and deserves the justice, not just silence from governmental bodies.
Yes.
I hope some emergency is passing. I hope that the coming year, 2019, will be the decider in a good sense, in a good faith for Julian Assange.
Yes.
I can't imagine that anyone in a political world or any other sense can prolong this situation for longer. So today, as much as we can be to Julian Assange, just on the corner, I believe that this conforms as much as can. Is joining the evening with his father, and we are here to represent anyone who can't be here, but is showing his heart to be with him, with Julian Assange, through us, with us. And question number 3. And I don't want to do today any politics about this. It's just the Christmas day. The day where
Christmas, yes.
It's the Christmas day when all people should join peace and love. And
yes,
this is the message which we want to send to anyone who has a part to make a decision. But Julian Assange is a human being. That's why he deserves the justice.
Yes.
And with this message, actually, I want to say thank you for the vote.
Oh, thanks very much. Thanks again, Arkadiusz. At the Wikibees, you also gave a very powerful speech towards the end of one of the Wikibees. So thanks very much for that as well.
And then next time we can talk about more comprehensive political stories. But today, let's enjoy the tradition of love and compassion to anyone who is suffering. And I know Julian Assange, as much as he's strong and composed inside himself, inside the embassy, he is suffering. And we are here because we understand this. And we share with him and his struggle.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, I just want to introduce Angel by saying it's been a great gift to have her here from Michigan to sustain this through the night and during the night shift, and that really guarantees me 5 hours straight sleep during the night, and that's been a really great contribution to me personally, and
Yes.
she's fitted in really well with the crew, and yeah, so without further ado, Angel.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi, Angel.
Hi.
Great to see you again.
I wanted to thank the people from the California workers. They're wonderful people. I never met quite such a loving crew. They're very supportive, and I just want to give them a shout out.
Yes.
I've met a lot of people in my life, but these people are just incredible and they're wonderful. So
It's obvious how well you work together, how cooperatively and make it work. And from your side as well. I mean, in the last Wikibees, you talked about doing your rounds and checking that Ciaron was properly tucked up so he didn't get too cold.
Yeah. I would like to also say that everyone needs to remember that Julian has not seen his children in 8 years, and it's Christmas, and they're growing up without him, and it's a very, very sad situation. And I've been lucky enough that I've met his father, and you look at him and talk to him, and it's like Julian made over. He's a gentleman. He's a sweetheart. He's very soft spoken. I'm just glad that he's here for Julian right now. Christmas alone is a terrible thing.
Yes.
And I just want people to remember as they're having their dinners and opening the presents that there's a man out there who sacrificed his life that we would know the truth.
Yes.
And still suffering for doing what he did, and that we need to support him in any way we can.
Yes. Yes, that's very important, and you've made a huge commitment, and really, Ciaron just said it was obvious. Ciaron was saying this is a huge burden, and you came along and helped out, and it's still incredibly tough. I know that, but you're doing something very difficult and doing your very best to make it work, and doing a really excellent job as far as I can tell. So that's wonderful.
I think it's also very good of Ecuador to let John in every night and every day while they're gone, and he's been bringing Julian food, so that's a good thing. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just happy that Julian has someone over this holiday season. I know he's spent many a Christmas alone. So.
Yes.
Yeah. And so my hope for 2019 is that we see him free and that we see him happy, and that he would be able to get the medical care he needs right now, because I know he's suffering with his tooth and his shoulder. So.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, he's been there for a long time, and even going in, I think he had the problem with his tooth. He already had that going into the embassy, so.
Yeah. And my understanding is that he can only eat soft food at this point, and he has to avoid acidy food because it bothers him. I wish there was some way we could get him the dental care he needs, but the only way we can do that is to free him, because the British government will arrest him if he walks out that door.
Yes, yes, yes.
I wish I was a dentist. I'd go in there and pull the tooth or something.
Yes.
And being Christmas Day, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and just remember the reason that we're here.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you, Angel. Yeah, very much appreciated, and I know a lot of people really have strong support for you, and you're doing something very difficult, and you're making it work, which that should never be understated, and I do, if it wasn't for you, I don't think Julian would have a guard. Maybe there's something I don't know, but
he was doing 22 hours without sleep. He was getting 2 hours of sleep a day.
Ciaron, yes.
Yes, and I couldn't bear the thought of something happening to Julian, because I just came over here, and I'm just glad I'm here. I guess I don't see it as this big act that a lot of people think that it is. That it's I'm just doing what I think is right.
Yes.
And I just wish more people would help us out. Anyone can come down and sit with us and watch over the embassy.
Yes.
We welcome everyone.
Yes. Yes, thanks so much, Angel. Really appreciate it.
All right. If you want, I can sign out, or I can give you Ciaron. Ciaron?
Hello.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. The visual I've got looks like some fine paneling, but I can hear you clearly. Yeah. Poor econ lighting here. Okay, so I can't see you. I just see a piece of wood and some a sofa, maybe some cushions. But
Oh, that's
I
probably
see you now.
Meg.
That's Meg. Yeah.
That's where Meg was. Okay, so I can see you
Swipe
now.
along and you'll see something else.
This is the panel view. So we're lucky enough.
Do you have any questions, or could I just update what's occurred in the past week? Or?
Yeah. So you said there were 7 of you. Do the other 2 want to say hello, or?
No, he's decided not to speak tonight. And,
okay.
So yeah, there's a variety of backgrounds here. People got in our broader group. People like Joe have got a background in theatre, and we've got a gardener here, a master builder, a couple of gardeners actually, and some people are very good at tech, and some people like myself aren't. And it was good tonight because I've been public speaking since the late 70s, and for some people it's a new experience, and it's just like skateboarding. You get on, fall off, get on again, and it becomes less stressful and easier to do, and you get better at it. So my skateboarding is very good, but it's good that so many people spoke tonight.
Yes.
So in the past week, it's been pretty. You had the sacking of the ambassador and half the staff here 10 days ago. The arrival of new ambassador. We had the absence of the president of Ecuador, has left Ecuador. So we had a few heightened occasions. We thought the old ambassador left at 5 p.m. on a Friday. The new one didn't start for 9 a.m. So that weekend we thought was heightened vulnerability, and we thought last night, because there's no public transport in London today and there's no newspaper.
Yes.
So it's a continual, as I've said before, it's been 8 years for me now, and it's going from marathon to sprint to marathon. And, the anti-climax of thinking it may happen, as we did in the summer when the president was here, Marino, and then when he left, and then this period now. So we have to work out, we have short-term plans. We have to start organising long-term, because I think it's essential to sustain a 24/7 presence. Like
yes.
Most people who walk by mention the name Julian Assange when they see our signs and see us. That wouldn't happen unless there was some visible solidarity occurring outside the embassy. It would just be another building. People are surprised and still in the building. He's become, of course, invisible over the last 7 months since they cut off the internet, phone, and the business. So up to that point, he can be interviewed and speak for himself, and also give lectures. So we're always cautious about, obviously saying we're not speaking on Julian's behalf. We're speaking in solidarity with him.
Yes.
From whatever background we come to this, I come from an anti-war background. Others from internet freedom, others free speech. Others are concerned about the nature of his imprisonment. There's a couple of local guys who, one did 6 years in jail and one did another 2, and they're very sympathetic, and they obviously know what it's like to be in a sensory deprivation situation. And that's been a positive about living here. I lived here for 3 weeks, in the summer now 4 weeks, and you know, there's occasional hostility, but also people begin to respect you that you're serious, especially in the winter and the rain. And this week also we've had the royal family of Qatar in the same building, and about 15 of their bodyguards. Many of them are ex-military. One was ex-cop who actually guarded Julian for 3 years. And so, yeah, you get sympathy and solidarity from unexpected places. And just as you get apathy from places you expect, like Stop the War Coalition and Amnesty International and Australian government, and the list is endless. So you never want to define anyone out of existence in terms of their humanity and their ability to empathise and express solidarity.
You must have been very pleased when the German MPs came.
Yeah, so yeah, it was fun because this, as I mentioned before, there's this scaffolding, and as a former house painter, you know, the rule of thumb is you paint inside in the winter and outside in the summer. So as one cameraman suggested, this scaffolding's here to destroy the optic, to dissuade television coverage of the drama unfolding here. And I've seen that NBC and CNN turn up, look at the visual and think there's nothing to film here, it's just scaffolding. So these guys have been taking down the scaffolding. It's going to take them over a week to do that. If they don't work on weekends, they don't work in the rain, and they don't work when it's dark. So it's a long, dragged out process. So the MPs came out of the building and like to position ourselves at the moment right in front of the embassy. It's a bit of a shelter from the wind and the rain, especially under the scaffolding. And but during the day, we want to get out of the way of the embassy staff and the Qatari royal family. And we move over to the position which I'm now occupying now, about 15 metres from the balcony where Julian has spoken. So all of a sudden, the concierge of the building came out, and there was another larger group across the road and supported Julian and informed them it was happening. And on our, I built a kind of lounge chair out of wrapped up Evening Standard newspapers and Harrods bags, and this Saudi lawyer gave us a nice blanket. It's pretty good. So all of a sudden in my living room, there was 2 German MPs, Julian's dad, and a bunch of people running across the street to join them. So that was a little stressful, but good. And they spoke very clearly and very well about the issues. And, you know, it's Gareth Pearce, who's Julian's lawyer and very famous in Ireland for freeing the Birmingham 6 and the Guildford 4 and the Maguire 7 and other Irish people victims of miscarriage of justice like Julian in England in the 80s. The film The Name of the Father deals with her, by Emma Thompson. Daniel Day-Lewis plays General Conlon, and Peter Postlethwaite plays Giuseppe. She wrote an article about 7 years ago, even before I think she took on Julian's case at the appeal level, about why all extraditions from Europe to the United States should stop. And she made the point that under European human rights guarantees that human association, like ablutions, like water and food and clothing, a basic human right recognised by the European Constitution. Where in the United States, the way they interpret, I think it's the 8th Amendment, is that human rights, human association is not a human right. So in the prison population is about 2.2 million. It was 1.3 when I was in jail 20 years ago there. There are over 50,000 people in solitary confinement indefinitely. So that's a broader reason why, you know, along with the death penalty, that that extradition should stop from Europe to the United States. Of course, Britain is just about to leave Europe, so it's become increasingly more a satellite of the United States, like Australia. And so, yeah, whether the Brexit thing will affect Julian's human rights, I'm not quite sure.
Yes.
So, yeah. So it's been a big week, and, you know, with... there was a drone appeared in the street the other day.
A drone, yes.
Yeah, well, the police claim a drone shut down Gatwick Airport earlier in the week, and but it's unrelated. And all of a sudden, a drone appeared, and an armed cop appeared right next to us, about 5 meters away. So, you know, we kind of went back on alert, and then the drone disappeared. So whether that was a recreational one or a security one, we don't know. And there are a variety of authority here, you know, ranging from Harrods Security. There's 17 cameras in this alley between the Embassy building and the other building that formerly was the Crown Court. I was talking to the manager today, and he said previous to being a Crown Court, it was a hotel, and that Oscar Wilde stayed in this building behind me.
Yes.
Who later, of course, was wrote the Ballad of Reading Prison.
Yes.
And also, as Jimmy Dore referenced, said, if you tell people the truth and don't make them laugh, they'll want to kill you. So, which is being played out here with Julian. So it's a very elite area. You know, I've had, I mentioned this before, harassment from the homeless outreach team. Every way, all the way up to armed police. So I think my lighting man is giving me some kind of signal. What
just missing out.
right. Oh, sorry.
The United Nations reconfirmed.
Yeah. Okay. Also, yeah, this week.
And Chris
Yes.
Okay. Finally, an MP came out in support of Julian.
British MP.
Yeah, Chris Williamson. Yeah. And also the UN reconfirmed their position that this is illegal and arbitrary detention. So I'm just following my lighting man. He's following me. Right. Okay. We could show you, you know, this is the basic shrine we've had since the beginning. A friend of mine, a punk rock artist in Dublin, made this banner for us that's seen a lot of action. And we also have other attempts to engage the public. So, yeah, we're walking over here now. What? Okay, rightio, okay. So, yeah, so it's a mess over here, man. But this is a couple of people in solidarity with Julian, and yeah. So, and this is the yeah. So these just things are made up during the week. This is not us at our best. I didn't know we were going to do this. This is the entrance to the building. So you've got a concierge there, a bit of security happening. And this is the
site of the candle arch.
This is the Colombian Embassy here, which is just across the hallway from the Ecuadorian Embassy, and Colombia, of course, a pretty fascist country. So what you've had, really broadly speaking, why this is happening to Julian, is that the US is now prioritizing the taking back of South America. So when they were distracted killing Muslims in Afghanistan and Iraq, there was progress made in South America. So in the 60s and 70s, as we well know, US and undermined any democracy that emerged in South America and put in generals who they trained at the School of the Americas in Fort Benning, Georgia. And what you had in the 80s, I was thinking the other day, is pretty much a war against the radical Catholic Church in Central America, the killing of Jesuits in El Salvador, nuns in Guatemala, Honduras, and also the promotion of right-wing evangelical Christianity to compete with that. So that's kind of a preview, the 80s, to what's going to happen next, I think, as you presently have the Colombian military mobilized to the Venezuelan border. And as we know, President Correa, who invited Julian into the embassy and then gave him asylum, expelled the US military base from Ecuador.
Yes.
And President Moreno is now inviting them back. And really what he's saying is that his government, under his leadership, wants to be a colony of the United States, which is pretty much the status of Australia, in my experience growing up there. And, you know, and it really, you know, as a Christian, peace and justice not found on serving empire. Like my mother had 3 uncles at the Battle of the Somme, and they came from North Queensland, from Georgetown, the Gulf of Carpentaria, all the way to kill on the battlefield of France. They had nothing to do with defending Australia. And before that, the Australian military at that time, right up to World War II, was called the Australian Imperial Force. So that was a lot more honest than calling it the Australian Defence Forces, as it's called today. Because they're initially deployed to Aotearoa to put down the Maori, and then they turned up late in Khartoum for the war in Sudan, and of course the Boer War, that fine film Breaker Morant deals with that.
Yes.
And then World War I, and then still serving British interest in Malaysia in the 50s, and then of course swapping to new imperial masters by going to Vietnam, to Afghanistan, Iraq, and they want to stay in Syria even after Donald Trump's pulling his troops out, probably to clear the way for the Turkish military to wipe out the kind of utopian anarchist Kurdish enclave in the north there. I think they want to get the US military out of the way, so the Turkish military, and I remember the Turkish military were in the top 3 recipients of American military aid back in the 90s. I don't think that's changed much. And so, you know, the president of Ecuador presently is acting very much like King Herod in the scripture, who was a Jewish king, but in collaboration with the Romans. And Marino is in collaboration with the United States. They want the head of Julian Assange, just like Herod delivered the head of John the Baptist. And then you've got, you know, the Guardian, who do not pause from character assassination and kicking someone who's bound and gagged, bound in this embassy and gagged from speaking publicly and defending himself against false accusations that the Guardian come up with.
Sue them.
So they should sue them, yeah. And so it's an incredible drama being played out in central London, you know. And I know our movement, we have people in prison at the moment. They're in rural Georgia, a few hours from Atlanta, for trying to disable a nuclear submarine. Liz McAllis, who's 78. And Steve Kelly, a Jesuit, are still in prison. The others are electronically tagged. And it's a bit of an effort to get to that jail, you know. But here you've got a tube system right here, right next to Harrods and the embassy. And this is, if you're into solidarity, this is a pretty accessible place to express that. And when you consider that 1.5 million people marched against the war that Chelsea Manning and Julian Assange exposed, and there's only a handful of us here, that's not a reflection on Julian Assange. It's a reflection on the state of our society that is sleepwalking in World War III, ecocide, and key totalitarianism. And unless we snap out of it, you know, unless we can break free from identifying ourselves as passive consumers and start to become active citizens, there isn't a lot of hope, you know. So, you know, hope's kept alive by our little effort here tonight, by your little effort there, and hopefully it can spread laterally and beyond our different cultures and different backgrounds and different musical tastes and hairstyles and everything else. And what we need to do, if any of our people get in trouble, whether it be Edward Snowden or Chelsea Manning or Julian Assange, we need to love bomb them, to support them. At the moment, there's a group of young people who did an action at Stansted Airport, and they hit them with terrorism charges. They're going to be sentenced in February for a non-violent environmental action. The Stanford 13 or 15, and they need support. You know, they're young people, some of them never arrested before, who are looking at serious jail time. And if you're in part of a group, and, you know, look at Stop the War, who've been well paid here for 15 years. They've done very well out of the war, thank you very much. And they're not standing in solidarity with this anti-war publisher. And that's outrageous, and they need to be challenged and challenged publicly. You can't incite people by organising anti-war demonstrations to take non-violent action, whether it be blockading the military, or like we did, disabling a US warplane, or like Julian did, publish information and then abandon them as they go through the courts and the jail systems and the hospitals. And it's not rocket science. You know, we don't all have to go to jail. We don't all have to be incarcerated. But when one of our brothers and sisters is, we need to be coming up with whatever gifts we have. Obviously, you people have techie gifts that I don't have. And obviously I can talk underwater. But, you know, whatever gifts we have, whether it be one of song, or action. We need to muster that around our people who are in jeopardy. And Julian, this is his 7th Christmas in here, you know, like, it's outrageous, really is outrageous. And,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Karen. Yeah, that's just amazing. We're very lucky to have Nozomi on here. Hi, Nozomi. You're still muted. You're muted.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, now, yes.
Hi.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for doing this. It's really
yes.
needed.
Yes, I thought we should. Yes, and everybody else here is very keen also, and Joe Booth has helped a lot also.
Yeah, to see it here, it's quite nice.
You've I mean, you're one of the experts on Julian and WikiLeaks, and you for a long time have been saying similar things to what Ciaron was just saying then.
And I think that when I was I mean, it's been 8 years since I first discovered.
Naomi Hayase, I can't pronounce the name properly. Yay! Solid.
No.
Sorry. That.
Okay. So I was just thinking that it's been over 8 years since the first time I discovered WikiLeaks, and I was thinking that when I first found WikiLeaks, there was this journalistic organization that cites George Orwell's dictum. Those who control the past control the future.
Yes.
Those who control the present, control the past, and that was very inspirational. And then I was thinking, what WikiLeaks has done to us, I mean, to me personally, is that it allowed me to claim my place in the history, which had been so much denied for most of us. And then WikiLeaks, it was a journey in some ways for me to discover my own history, and then how the narrative that I live in my life has been controlled. And
yes.
and then when I look at Assange's situation, now he has been silenced and arbitrarily detained, right, in the Ecuadorian Embassy in London for now for 7 years. And I mean, I haven't seen, here we are talking about Western journalists. I've seen political prisoners who are, non-white, non-Western, political prisoner. And he is now Western dissident who have been persecuted by Western government, right?
Yes.
And then in some ways, I think the reason really, why he's placed in this situation is because he challenged this Western power in a more effective way that I don't think any other people, have done it, in our life. And he, and then what, to me, what really makes me respect Julian is that he had a choice. He, being born as a white person who inherited this privilege in this world, had a choice not to stand up for those who are oppressed in the world. And he, he could have, he's a very talented, intelligent man. He could get a job as a computer programmer. He could be an excellent journalist, right? And, if he were to, in the mainstream media perhaps, and he could just make, good money and live comfortably, but he didn't. And instead he used his privilege, his intelligence and skill to help people that are oppressed to be free, and help all of us to claim our own history. And I think that makes him be a hero, and the reason why he ended up becoming modern day, world famous modern day political prisoner. And so, you know, I think that, yeah, so I think that's what I found very, very important for people to understand. And as I was in my last years of my writing, trying to elucidate significance of WikiLeaks, in my effort, I realized that, you know, it's so difficult for me to maybe explain to people who are in the West why WikiLeaks is important, you know.
Yes.
And especially in the U.S. currently, after you know, this whole Russia gate and trying to link Julian with Putin, and, you know, all that smearing happening, it's harder for me to explain why First Amendment is so important, why, you know, WikiLeaks has done what it has done. But, you know, I find that I don't have to explain to people that are placed in the so-called third world, so to speak, you know. They understand it. They don't have to be explained why WikiLeaks exists and why it must exist. So, you know, now we are talking about the you know, first global forces state, the transnational media organization that never existed before. And,
listen to this?
and I think that, you know, I come to realize that it's probably the Western people in the West would be the last one to really appreciate and understand the significance of WikiLeaks. So yeah, so I you know, I had an opportunity. I mean, this morning, you know, I was thinking about what I want to say now, you know, for this live stream event, and that made me think about why I support Julian Assange and why I support WikiLeaks and why I think existence of WikiLeaks must be defended, and Julian Assange must be freed. And so I thought you know, I wanted to kind of convey this to all of you, especially, you know, as someone who grew up in Japan and, you know, enter into this Western society as a foreigner. I thought that, you know, this is kind of the perspective that, you know, that can need to be brought, perhaps.
Yes. Is the message getting through, do you think? For example, the German MPs, we thought that was very important.
You mean the German parliament members visiting him? You mean?
Yes, exactly, yes. So 36 European MPs signed a letter.
Yes, I'm currently writing the article about that, but I think, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think it's covered in the US media. Garrison did her piece for KPFA. Yeah, but I don't think it's widely reported. I'm not sure how it is in the UK. But so far, you know, there seems to be more focus on Guardian's fabricated story, which Guardian, you know, trying to defend, I mean, or retract the story. Yeah, I mean, and I think that many people, I think people in general, they are checked out from democracy, you know.
Yes.
And part of the reason is that for them, democracy became simply their engagement in a presidential election, you know, or just elective process. That's became synonymous with democracy. And so they don't know what democracy really means. They don't, you know, they don't know how their rights, you know, like the First Amendment or right to free speech or privacy right have been eroded. They have no idea. And then this media that, you know, corporate media focuses on sensationalism and tabloid. And I think that people became spectators of democracy, and that they are, you know, promoted to, I mean, they're made to just focus on the commercial arena.
Yes.
And that, you know, probably many people going to shopping, right, today. Yeah. And while they're shopping and then, you know, watching TV, and, you know, they don't know how the fundamental principle of democracy has been dismantled quietly, you know. And the media, of course, doesn't report about it. And so, yeah, that's why I think I always felt that, you know, justice system cannot deliver justice for Julian Assange because the system is on the hands of those in power, right? Yes. And his freedom have to be fought on the court of public opinion. But at the same time, I'm aware of the fact that we don't have active citizenry. We don't have a court of public opinion. And so in that context, I mean, it has been very encouraging to see German, you know, parliamentary members coming to visit Julian and showing support. So yeah, or politicians, you know, the UK politician, sitting MP, basically, you know, supported the UN rulings, right? Yes. So that encouraging, that kind of give us kind of hope, and that there are people within the institutions who are willing to stand up for the principle of democracy. And we need to push them, you know, we need to stand along with them because they need us, you know, they are facing a tremendous pressure. I mean, for so many of them, they cannot even, you know, vocally support Julian. I mean, if you look at the case of Jeremy Corbyn, right, in the UK, I mean, he supported WikiLeaks a while ago, but now he has been quiet. And you know, we have to let them know, we have to let those political leaders that we are with them, and that they are, you know, that they are with, you know, them supporting Julian is, they are actually representing truly the interests of ordinary people, and that they should not be afraid of speaking up and standing up for Julian Assange, because, you know, they are afraid, you know, they are concerned about their political career, and for them to come out and show support for Julian, I mean, they are afraid that that would be the end of their, you know, political, So, so for that reason, you know, we have, I mean, I don't have so much, I don't have hope, and I don't, for this current form of democracy, representative democracy. I think that this is an archaic system that we can actually create something better. But at the same time, you know, we have to be realistic and free Julian Assange. And for that, you know, we have to use whatever means that are available within the system to really make an effort to free him. And that include giving pressure to these elected officials, basically. So that's, that recent news really have been very encouraging in this regard.
Yes.
Yeah. And, but at the same time, you know, that we cannot be just optimistic about this good news, just, you know, because we really don't know what's going to happen. And, you know, Ecuadorian embassy, I mean, the Ecuadorian government is, you know, willing to evict Julian anytime. I mean, so that's a threat. And then there are secret charges coming from the United States that, you know, the real danger here, you know, so that we really have to, so I appreciate those who are actually going to, you know, Ecuadorian embassy and to really show solidarity and support and then really protect Julian's physical safety. I mean, that has been very, very important, and you know, I thank all of you to do that.
The fact that some MPs have started, the boldest ones spoke up first, and as soon as they spoke up, then the UN made a statement again.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then the first British MP, you know, as Ciaron was saying also, the first British MP spoke up. So each time an MP speaks up, it makes it easier for other MPs to speak up. And it makes harder for other MPs not to speak up, like Jeremy Corbyn.
Right, exactly. Right. That's a good, good point. And in Germany, certainly, you know, has become kind of in many ways a safe haven for whistleblowers and Western dissidents. Ever since Edward Snowden released the, you know, information about NSA spying, mass surveillance, and Sarah Harrison, the WikiLeaks investigative journalist, I mean, she also, who helped Snowden fled Hong Kong, she moved to Berlin, exile because she couldn't go back to UK. So Germany has been very much supportive of, be aware of what's happening and show kind of solidarity to those who depend free speech and democracy. And so it's very encouraging to see, the leaders in Germany actually taking next step to show urgent diplomacy, and we need more of that. And the more people, I think that I would encourage any political leaders from around the world, if they come and if they do the same thing, and it would really highlight, right, that it would show that how the West is very isolated, how people in the world basically, they want Julian Assange to be free. And I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but we had in the US in 1999, there was this battle, it's called the Battle of Seattle, which is the largest globalization movement, citizen-led global movement against the WTO, World Trade Organization. So there, the people from around the country, the old leaders come to the city of Seattle, and then there was Bill Clinton came to Seattle, and then he was trying to basically make a final deal for to push WTO. But then that negotiation was shut down because of the protesters.
By the people
on the street trying to basically prevent the delegate from those countries to come. And then when these leaders, delegates from a country recognize that there is a popular support to go against WTO, then the whole negotiation collapsed. So I see that this is kind of a similar situation where more people actually come and then show solidarity with Julian Assange, and that would give pressure and really isolate U.S. and then give maybe ultimatum to United States that we can exist without you. We don't have to be a part of your, we don't have to be subservient to your interest anymore. And Ecuador perhaps also have a courage, strength to actually stand up against U.S. imperialism, right? And so I think more countries, especially Ecuador, as a small country of South America, it's extremely difficult for Ecuadorian government to really stand up against the U.S. pressure, which the previous president Rafael Correa so courageously demonstrated by granting asylum to Julian Assange in 2012. But not many political leaders have guts to do that. So we can actually maybe find a way for Moreno to feel safe, and okay to actually to stand up against U.S. interest. Which will be, I'm sure, very difficult. But if more people come together, and political leaders especially, and show solidarity, I think that might be possible.
Yes. Just to mention, we welcome on Quinn Petersen. Hi, Quinn. who you do all sorts of wonderful events, and actually the people, Alex Hills, you're the same. You do all sorts of wonderful events. So I'm really happy to have you sort of people, your sort on, I suppose, if I can say that. And Alex, you just what Nozomi was talking about. You experienced that in New Zealand, didn't you, with the petition to try and give asylum to Julian Assange, and all of these didn't help.
No, we submitted the petition. It was heavily censored. We tried to get it on Action Station, which is like change.org for New Zealand, and they wanted us to change the wording. They wanted us to add statements that would have implicated that the Swedish case was real. And we just refused and just went ahead with the government petition website, which then I had literally hundreds of people report to me, and I've got screenshots of them all, reporting server errors, trying to sign. And of course, those messages that were on the petition tweets would have turned off other people as well. So I feel like a whole lot of people were prevented from signing. We got about 2,100 signatures. Yeah. We submitted it to Parliament. We had a lot of press coverage, a lot of it mocking, the week before. And we thought we were going to have a huge press following at the handover at Parliament. The MP that was sponsoring it was only doing it for free press, for freedom of press and freedom of speech. He didn't support what we were saying. All we wanted them to do is just discuss it in Parliament. That's what our petition requested, that they discuss the asylum. And they reported back from the select committee that it wasn't within jurisdiction to even discuss it, which is just a complete, utter cop-out.
It was like the Defence and Trade, Foreign Trade Committee, wasn't it? It was totally within their jurisdiction.
Yeah. So yes, that was frustrating. And yeah, so our petition didn't really get discussed in Parliament. Still trying to figure out how we can get around that. But New Zealand's still active, and we've got some plans coming for further actions. So we will still fight. And also, what's really exciting is the Australian petition right now has been going up in thousands per, too quickly for them to report it. And they've just proposed a strategy which will be announced on the 13th of February, which is how many Australian MPs actually support Assange, like a name and shame list.
Oh, and yes.
I sort of wondered yesterday, gosh, maybe we should do this for the Five Eyes, for all Five Eyes countries. Given New Zealand, we've tried an asylum petition, we've got nowhere. I just think we should try and name and shame all the Five Eyes countries MPs in a great big website list, and slowly, hopefully, see them changing over from the dark side. So it would be great if we could maybe coordinate something like that as a world strategy, because I think that's more powerful. The problem with us is we're all finally spread around the world, aren't we? So it would be great if we had coordinated actions. We all turn up and do a protest at the same time, or we all shame and name MPs. Yeah.
In New Zealand, it would start out with everyone, all of the MPs, wouldn't it? Because
we've got some ex-MPs. We've got Keith Locke.
Yeah, he's excellent.
We've got Georgina Byers, who signed our petition. We cornered her at the Chelsea Manning event at Embassy Theatre. And she was happy to sign. We actually had a military guy that I didn't even realise was a well-known military political person, and he signed it because I gave him a big spiel at the railway station, and he signed it in person. And everyone was really surprised. I don't know who that was, but apparently it was a bit of a coup.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so there are a few, but yes, you're right. There's no sitting MPs that were willing to sponsor our petition, and I think that was because of party directives. I do believe that people like Goldritz and Marama, there are certainly people that would surely be positive towards Julian but are unable to speak out.
Well, yes, I say it quite openly. Goldritz Garraman is my favourite MP in the New Zealand Parliament. That they get pressure from the Swedish situation. He's been smeared. Julian's been smeared, and they don't ignore that. It's really unfortunate.
It's interesting too. I've reached out to like the Green Party in Canada and the Communist Party and stuff.
Yes.
And the Communist Party, they think that he works with fascists, so they don't want to support him. And then the Green Party, thinks that he's associated with Trump or whatever, so they won't support him. And then people on the farther right spectrum, just are too aligned with the establishment to say anything or whatever. yeah, it's a shame to see like even the Communist Party, you know, people that have really nothing to lose are like taking the establishment side.
Yeah. So yeah, it's difficult to get MPs. So as you say, Nozomi, the German MPs are the strongest, and other European MPs are also good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Canada's really weird. We're really cliquey, and we whatever America is doing, we really are like in line with that. It's hard.
There are a few American MPs who are actually wonderful, like Rand Paul, I think.
Rand Paul, yeah, he has been very supportive of WikiLeaks, and but also, I mean, Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein here in California, actually, she is now demanding Mike Pompeo to, you know, giving him pressure to, you know, she just wrote a letter asking Mike Pompeo to pressure Ecuador to evict Julian Assange. And in that letter, Feinstein cited this Guardian's fabricated story about, that Julian met with Trump's former campaign manager, which is false. But so, yeah, I mean, so, and then they are Democrat. And so I think it's in the US, I find it extremely difficult to even have rational discussion about WikiLeaks nowadays. Before I was, Democrat and progressives were supportive of Julian, and now they turned away. And so it's a kind of politically difficult situation in the US. So personally, because of this difficulty I faced, that I changed the way I describe WikiLeaks, and one of the tactics I used, I'm not sure if I was successful, was to define or depict WikiLeaks as an invention of a new journalism, and to try to show that how this is a part of a new innovation, and then its contribution to humanity. So, my effort, I was trying to bring a larger picture and, encourage people to get out of this political ideology and to be able to unite, with what matters to us as a human being, So, so that's kind of, I found it kind of important to create a different narrative that could maybe speak or cut through across political lines.
Yes. Yes, that was excellent. A fresh view on things that, and social media at least gives us a chance, don't you think, Nozomi?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think that I think that the irony is, I mean, what I find is that if people truly understand, if they get over this their own political ideology, and then really, look at what WikiLeaks has done, what WikiLeaks has published, their actual documents, then they would realize how vital that this organization is, and this is a unprecedented form of journalism. So the question is how we can engage people for them to actually look at what WikiLeaks has published. And for that, it's a kind of, it involves a painful process for many of us, because first thing that we have to realize is that we don't live in a democracy, and then we don't have free press, and we have permission to free speech. All of those, illusion about democracy have to first crumble. And that is painful for many of us, right? We are so invested in our life, and they think that, we have democracy and all of that. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of painful process, and for some people. So they rather like to maybe live in this lie and perpetuate this illusion, and then pretend that everything is going okay. But I think it's inevitable. I mean, if Julian Assange is evicted and extradited to the US, it is too late, right?
Yes.
We are seeing, basically dying democracy, and when Julian would be extradited to the US, then we wake up perhaps, but it's too late. At that point, it's too late, right? We wouldn't have anything to do at that point, so this is our last opportunity, last chance to really do something about it. Because at that point, if Julian would be extradited, we wouldn't be discussing this. Everybody would need to be on the street, fighting for Julian, or fighting for ourselves at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nozomi, you remind me a lot of Sheldon Woolen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I just read Democracy Incorporated, and he talks about the inverted totalitarianism, and how that, classical totalitarianism, you would just, the media would just shut you. You wouldn't even be able to talk on the media or whatever.
Right. Exactly.
But,
and Naomi Wolf, she wrote a book talking about 10 steps to fascism, right? She compared U.S. What's happening in the U.S. with just before the Nazi took over, Nazi came to rise in Germany, and then now U.S. actually have all the 10, all the steps fulfilled.
All the criteria.
Exactly. And then there's this saying, everything that Hitler did was legal, right? So we have, we have, for instance, NDAA, and which is this U.S. government's ability to detain anybody indefinitely without trial, right? Just for the suspicion that certain individuals are engaged in terroristic act, or just because the president doesn't like it, perhaps. Right now the U.S. has this ability to use military against American people, right? And Obama had a kill list, assassination kill list. And this Obama's Terror Tuesday, where Obama basically gets to decide who to die, and you know what I mean. So everything is now in place. And then Edward Snowden, pointing out that we have turnkey tyranny.
That's
that
right.
We have
Yes.
mass surveillance and surveillance state, which is turnkey tyranny. I mean, we have everything set up, right? So yeah, it's and the people don't know anything about it, and the people who try to inform public about what's happening, like Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, all of those people, they are the ones who are prosecuted. I mean, yeah. So so these messengers are shot, right? So yeah, so I think we have to really realize that this looks like Assange's issue, right? Assange's pride for freedom is his, but it's really our own.
Yes.
Somebody we are defending for ourselves. So we need to have that sense of urgency. That it's maybe I don't know how long we can actually continue to just talk about it, right? And maybe there comes time that we don't even have a space to talk about this, and only thing that we have is to actually actively resist.
Yeah, it's like the Plato's cave.
Yeah, or I like the metaphor with the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
The movie The Matrix, Wachowski siblings, The Matrix. I mean, that's what it is, and Julian is like a Morpheus, who have been placed under heightened security, right? And then many of us actually became free because of Julian.
Yeah.
Because of what he has done for all of us. And then now we have to go back to the Matrix to save him, And then I think that I like the metaphor of the Matrix, really, because I think that one of the significance I think Julian has done is that he believed in ordinary people's ability to govern themselves.
Yes.
And he made us realize that in the film Matrix, Neo has this moment that before he went back to save Morpheus in the Matrix, he basically said, well, he told Trinity, I'm not the one. Sorry, Trinity, I'm not the one. And but the Morpheus believed in something that I am not, he said. And for that, he said, I have to go back to the Matrix to save Morpheus. And what that was is, you know, in the same way that Julian believed in us, believed that something that we were taught for so many years, that, you know, we are taught to be ignorant, we are taught to be, you know, incapable of governing ourselves, all those things, you know. And then Julian believed that that's not true, that we have power, and informed citizens, informed the public can actually, you know, find a way to govern themselves. And so that belief, that faith in the ordinary people's ability to govern themselves, he sacrificed his personal liberty. And we have to respond to that. You know, we have to respond to that courage. And I haven't seen anyone who has done it in the way that he has done. I mean, there are many, like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, you know, all those people. But Julian is really the somebody who has done it in our time. And then, you know, he's kept free right now. So that's something we have to do something about, you know, about.
I've been thinking a lot about like learning about like, you know, marketing and, you know, like hypnosis and things like that. Like just how to like persuade people into like leading to their own conclusions so that they don't feel like, you know, like
being manipulated.
Yeah, manipulated, or that like, you know, like if you just tell somebody something, they want to discover it, you know, like a new band or a new flavor or whatever. They would rather experience it on their own and experience and find it than you tell them about it. So it's like trying to find ways to pull it out of them, kind of thing.
Right. And you know, that's what mainstream media does, right? Corporate media, they manipulate people, manipulate our perception. And then, you know, they basically deprive our ability to inform ourselves. And that's exactly what WikiLeaks went against by, you know, engaging in the scientific journalism. WikiLeaks gave us primary source material so that we can, out of ourselves, just look at these documents to inform ourselves and come to our own conclusion and come to interpret the history that is happening, you know. And that ability has been denied to us for a long time. And so, you know, you said it. I mean, that's it. That's what WikiLeaks has done. And you know, how can we maybe facilitate the process for other people to engage with history? So I think that's, I think you really raised a good point.
Yeah, I feel very privileged to be on here with all of you, the vigilists in London who are doing a very crucial task. But you, Nozomi, and Quinn and Alex, you're real communicators, and I think we are getting the job done. We just need more people like you. So, Alex, you were talking about. She's.
I just heard kids.
Yeah. Oh,
I was just in a session.
Yeah. Yeah. Just before we went on air, you were talking about your summer solstice event. You were getting a lot of communication about Julian Assange in a country where we ignore Julian Assange.
Yeah. I went down to a solstice on the beach, just around the bay, in Wellington, and there were about 150 people. And first of all, my kids sung a carol, so we got a lot of attention and a huge clapping session. It felt like an amphitheater on the beach because the beach goes up quite sloping. There was so many people. And after my kids went home, me and Timothy, who did the Emperor's New Clothes with this guy, remember this guy?
Yes.
So we sung our Julian Assange song about 3 times on that beach, and we talked to pretty much everyone who came up to us and asked about it, and a few other dissident songs, and so it went really well. They wouldn't let us leave the beach until about 4 a.m. despite trying many times. It was quite funny. So I've been a bit tired over Christmas now, But yeah, it was good. It felt like a lot of people there were already in the groove. They just had forgotten about Assange because it's just not out there enough. And it was nice to talk to people who, you know, weren't sort of toxic when you talk about it. You know, they were already, you know, the sort of people that, you know, the hippies that were already on board with the anti-war movement. So it was quite easy to convince them to think about it again. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it. And then you amplify that on Twitter, and we amplify that on Twitter. So I think it's a combination of like creative and wonderful and really entertaining events and amplifying it on social media. And plus also from you, Nozomi, more specifically educational events that you amplify on Twitter and we all amplify on Twitter. I think, you know, we can be the start of something where
definitely. And you know, Wikileaks is really, I mean, it's an invention of a new journalism built on the platform of the internet. So, you know, I mean, some people who are even informed about, you know, what's happening with Julian, you know, some of them tell me that, oh, this is the destiny of a hero, you know, hero or anyone who challenged US power, US empire, they will be prosecuted and they will end up in jail, you know, that no one was able to escape from that, right? So that kind of defeatism, sense of defeatism, yes, that I find very much prevails among, you know, people who actually are very progressive. But I have to say that, you know, in the past, Martin Luther King was assassinated, Malcolm X was shot to death, you know, and all those heroes, you know, who fought. I mean, Gandhi was assassinated too. So they, yeah, it's true that they actually, you know, could not escape from their fate of being, you know, killed, right, by challenging those in power. But now we live in a different age, that we have internet, we have a tool that the humankind never had before. And that's, you know, that's why, you know, WikiLeaks used that tool, the using cryptography as a non-violent democratic tool for you know, to create this new journalism, you know, that allow people to basically come back to a history that is ours, that has been taken from us. So we can engage, you know, in creating alternative stories so that hero doesn't have to die anymore. Hero can actually, you know, can survive through this aggressive prosecution. And you know, when you look at what Sarah Harrison did, you know, WikiLeaks journalist Sarah Harrison, she was looking at what happened to Saoirse Manning, and the reason why she helped Edward Snowden was that she wanted to have a different story than what happened to Saoirse Manning. So that she wanted to make sure, she wanted to create a society where whistleblowers can safely inform public about, you know, about government corruption and still can engage in the debate and be an active citizen, you know, participating in democracy. And that particular storyline was created through, you know, individual like Sarah Harrison, yes, taking risks to you know, to open up a history. So we can all count ourselves in this history that is happening, and using this skill, I mean, using this tool, the internet connection. And that's Bruce, you know, you are opening this up now, for instance, and that this is a good, beautiful example of this, right? You just sent me link last night in my time, and you say, hey, Nozomi, would you like to be a part of this, right? And then now you invited all the people around the world, and we now have this network talking about, you know, what can be done to free Julian Assange, finding a way to bring in more people to fight for Assange's freedom. So this ability to connect, you know, and communicate and associate with one another to really engage in a history, we didn't have this capacity before. Now we do. So we, you know, I think that we should never be defeated. I mean, feel you know, defeatism and you know, count ourselves in to really change the course of history.
Yes. Yes, the internet is a wonderful opportunity, but it's also on a knife edge a little bit because, for example, Twitter is
answering.
We all got shadow banned, didn't we, Quinn? And I don't know if you did too, Alex.
Are you? Are you
I was.
I had been during the petition, but not now. I don't think.
Wow.
Yeah, it goes off and on, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Were you shadow banned too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still are. I think that's the only time I've been shadow banned, but people were noticing it was very much that we were thanking the German MPs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking that because it was so important what they did.
Yeah.
And it might not be true, I don't know, but it appears to be that it seems such a coincidence. We had a lot of Unity for J people shadow banned specifically for thanking the German MP. Someone did an experiment and they were not shadow banned. They thanked the German MPs and then straight away they were shadow banned. So we can't take the social media for granted. There are certainly challenges there as well, and they may get worse with time. Probably will get worse with time. So it is time sensitive. We are sort of on a knife edge, but at the moment we do have pretty good reach on social media, and I think
wasn't Kim.com trying to create an alternative to Twitter?
Yeah. I've been using minds.com, and we're running the Unity for J site on that. And I think it's been like a month and a half, and I've gone from 100 to 400 subscribers. So it's been growing pretty good, and it's you can like grow cryptocurrency by using the site, and then you can use the currency to boost your own content or whatever. So I've been just like boosting the page itself, and you can get people to like see the page to be able to subscribe to it, or just certain like Christine's address or whatever. The speech she did, and just like boosting that, and I've gotten like 17,000 views on the Christine Assange video. So it's like competing with YouTube, and you're making currency off it. Yeah.
Is Minds a replacement for YouTube, generally speaking?
No, it's more like a replacement for Facebook, because I've been uploading stuff to it, but I can't upload anything that's like 4K and that is a long length.
Yeah.
So at like anything over 10 minutes or something, it won't really upload it. But yeah, I've been getting, like, I got the CEO of it. He's following us on Unity for J. Like I think Lee Camp's following us, and Mint Press, and a bunch of people, like bigger channels, are following us. So it's doing all right.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's also cool too. You can donate with the tokens you make. You can donate to channels and stuff, and a lot of people have been donating to us. So you just use those points to like boost our content. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So is it very similar to Facebook?
Yeah, it's like Facebook, and then it has a little bit of like Twitter and Reddit kind of feel to it. Like you can write blogs and stuff on it. Yeah.
And these things, I think they follow an S curve, as they say, that like they're low support, and then they take off and then get most people, and then curve over when they've got the most people. So where are they on the S curve?
I think they're kind of just, sailing along kind of thing, and they're just starting to come up because people are, Facebook's doing what it's doing and Twitter's doing what it's doing. And you see a lot of people are just like, every day coming on board or whatever, different smaller YouTube channels. So yeah, it's catching on, but it's not like Twitter where there's like MPs and stuff.
Yeah.
But small businesses and stuff they're taking advantage of it. Like just people that are inventing stuff for like startup businesses and stuff. I don't know. I see it being better than Steemit and stuff like that, because it was just more easy to get into. You just gave your phone number, and then it hooked you up with a wallet. And then if you didn't want to give your phone number, it would just give you an account without the wallet. but then it also gets you into like the cryptocurrency world, which is cool because I don't know, it kind of seems like a hard thing to do, but with that, it just gives you the money, and then you can convert it into Ethereum, which is the second most popular cryptocurrency.
Yes. You're quite an expert on that, Nozomi, right? Cryptocurrency.
I'm an expert, but I have interest in,
Yeah, I'm no expert, but I've just been learning about it through the mines and stuff, and yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on it. I'm very ignorant, and I'll ask a dumb question, which is a real concern for me, which is that Bitcoin uses a lot of energy.
That's not true. I mean, there's actually it's hard to describe what it is, but there are a couple of videos made by Andrea Antonopoulos, who is a spokesperson. I would consider him to be the best spokesperson in Bitcoin ecosystem, and I would send you some of the educational material of him describing how actually Bitcoin mining is not energy. I mean, it does uses a lot of energy, but it has for a reason, and it's not wasting in energy. It's provide vital security, and it's actually a lot cheaper than the energy that it's spent for to maintain the current financial system.
Yeah, you mean like electricity to run the servers and stuff?
Yes.
And all those
No, for the mining, for the Bitcoin mining.
Yeah.
But to like power up the servers and all that to actually to run it or whatever.
Well, mining is crunching. A lot of computer activity.
Yeah.
But then you think about all the, you got to buy garbage cans and office chairs and
to light up the building and then garden and all that stuff, and and each transaction is money.
I think the other point there is that Bitcoin will eventually stop being mined. There reaches a point where all the currency is out there, and that sort of expenditure of energy will go down. But
well, and they are also using miners are also always finding a cheap source of energy, and now they're using renewable energies like solar, wind, and so if we all do that, I mean, it's way more environmental, right?
And you mean the investments in oil, it being backed by oil and stuff? Is that what you mean by energy?
No. So solar energy, like wind.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of it's a kind of moving into a more clean energy. Mine. Then there is no problem, right?
I read somewhere that the Bitcoin mining is taking more energy than 20 countries in the world, the total energy consumption.
Yeah, but
the bottom 3 countries.
Right, but you have to kind of. I always think that what about the mainstream media report on Bitcoin? It's kind of similar as to how the mainstream media smeared Julian Assange. I mean, I see a parallel, interesting parallel. So I think that the mainstream media trying to kind of highlight that there's this sensational news headline being made by the Financial Times or the Bloomberg, the major financial outlet, saying that Bitcoin mining is going to create a massive global, this climate change and all of those things. It's an environmental destruction and et cetera. That is just a simple, sensationalism. I mean, that's just a over proportion. I mean, without understanding how this invention actually works, that they just hype up, in the same way that they attack WikiLeaks.
Obfuscating the fact
articles that are well written to describe, really educate how it works and then how it uses electricity, and then why the consumption of electricity is needed in order to secure the system. Which the Bitcoin security basically removes the current security that is placed in the financial system, which requires basically right now. Our current system is backed by men with guns, right? I mean, it's the fiat system. It's based on the central bank's Federal Reserve, private companies printing out of thin air, and then that legitimacy is backed by military might and all that stuff, right? And then how it's anyway. So right now the fiat US dollar as the world reserve currency, it's an imperial currency, and in order to sustain, the US has to engage in invasion of other countries and all that stuff. The petrodollar hegemony, basically. So
yes.
Bitcoin, shifting into Bitcoin is it's actually peaceful way
yes.
to have to run the financial system. So it's a kind of I mean, I'm not a best person to describe this, but I can give you some educational material. Created
I would like to
understand it. Yeah, there are a lot of materials out there.
And one thing we don't understand is the amount of emissions caused by wars. I mean, because we don't report them. That actually, I actually looked into it once to try and find out how much carbon emissions was caused by military action, and the information is just not allowed to be shared. So it's an area where we don't even know how much war consumes in terms of emissions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that people haven't thought about is server energy. Where you've got a big room full of servers producing heat energy, you can actually make central heat and power for the whole community based on that heat.
Yes.
We're just not really doing the joined up thinking yet in terms of that. So that is one area where we could really reduce it.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sort of my background. I did a lot of renewable energy stuff, but anyway, cool. Yeah. Oh well. I don't know. We got a bit away from Julian Assange. I would like.
One of the things that I want to say is that the underlying technology of WikiLeaks is actually Bitcoin. The blockchain provides the mechanism to prove existence of documents and the authenticity of documents. And WikiLeaks uses that. So they're So in some ways that of course the Julian is a part of cypherpunks, and Bitcoin is creation of cypherpunks. So there is this kindred spirit between them.
It's like when people say it's not political, and it's like everything's connected to politics.
Yeah, political alliance, and then Bitcoin is used to actually circumvent a financial blockade against WikiLeaks, and also Snowden used Bitcoin as well. So yeah.
Oh, I really like it. I would like to understand quantitatively. It's a quantitative question whether it has this concern. And as I understand it, there are also potential solutions for to get around the amount of energy consumption. So cryptocurrencies that use I even forget because I'm not an expert. It's something like peer support or something like that. It's a different way to give authenticity and credibility to currency exchanges, which is what Bitcoin is. But I should just stop speaking about this now. It's
Bitcoin, it doesn't have any agenda or purpose or means to reduce energy consumption or create a more environmentally friendly ecosystem. I mean, that's not a purpose of WikiLeaks. I mean, it doesn't really have that.
Yes.
But I think that the fundamental core of Bitcoin really is that Bitcoin provided a way for mankind, humanity to secure rule of law in a way by using basically mathematics. So now our current system of governance is dependent on trust, human trust, trusting the representative, our representative, trusting elected officials. And we have this security mechanism of checks and balance of power, right? And then we have basically in the US, we have 3 branches of government, and we each kind of check and, balances those power, right? But then obviously there's inherent weakness because humans are corruptible, okay, as well as being perfectible, right? So anybody who are placed into this position of representation, there is always a possibility that that person to abuse its position and its power, right? And that is, I think in some ways oversight on the part of founding fathers that, we tend to deceive ourselves, that we tend to, like that we could strive to be a better person, and, and then don't really acknowledge that how corruptible part, corruptible part is, part of what makes us human. We all have, dark side and the tendency to succumb to temptation and abuse power and then all that, right? And nobody is immune from that. And then I think the one of the significance that Satoshi Nakamoto, who is supposed to be invented Bitcoin, it's basically this inventor had an honest account of human nature, which is to acknowledge that we are corruptible as well as being perfectible. So let's not rely on this corruptible nature to build a governing system. Then what can we trust instead? Then he or she, Satoshi Nakamoto basically brought mathematics. Mathematics like a law of physics. It's a law of nature that cannot be corrupted, right? Whoever does mathematics, whether it's you, Bruce, doing it or me doing it, if we do it right, 1 + 1 = 2. It doesn't change according to any, other people's subjective agendas and stuff. So it's inherently, there's the perfect wisdom and the perfect law, right? So then let's build a governance structure based on this incorruptible nature of mathematics. And so that's, Julian Assange often talks about, this law of mathematics says no amount of violence can solve mathematical problems, right? So, so this is the basic core of Bitcoin as I see it. So we have basically technical means by using the imagination of from computer science to build, a system of democracy that is much more resilient to attacks, external attacks.
Yes.
Yeah. And the Bitcoin, then Wikileaks is also build on that. That's why this organization, not just Assange's tenacity and integrity, but Wikileaks, the reason why Wikileaks function is because of largely also because of this unprecedented technical infrastructure that is robust in nature. Yeah.
That reminds me of, I heard Julian Assange once talk about his name's Stanford Beer, and he created cybernetics, it's called, or I don't know if he created it, but he was about to implement it as a governance, or put it in the governance, and it was a way of like organizing things that almost everything in nature used cybernetics.
Right.
Same kind of thing.
It's kind of like a governance where no one is in charge, the governance where no one governs.
Decentralized,
decentralized, so that it's a kind of form of self-governance.
Yeah.
And if we say there is no governance, then people tend to think it's anarchistic, but that's not true. There is order in anarchy. There is order in chaos, but that order is not made top down. It's emerging spontaneously from bottom up, and so it's like a nature, as you say.
Yeah, like an ecosystem kind of thing.
Yeah.
Could super AI change our ideas of governance and in a very few years also?
Yeah.
Super AI, artificial intelligence.
I feel that our government, our way of life will change, and laws and stuff, and we'll have to think about giving AI rights and stuff,
yeah, exactly. You have to be democratic. The AI technology has to be distributed. Otherwise, if a small group of people own it, they have tremendous power in their hand. And it's much more insidious than, elite now owning media, for instance. Elite now owns media and the financial system, right? And political system and all that. And if they have hands on AI, oh my goodness, what's going to happen?
I know.
Yeah. Julian said something about, global warming's a big threat, but like you can't, how will people be able to even see it coming if they can't believe it? Because AI is like locked them in a chess move that made them think that it's fake or something,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just the way we could be manipulated is really, really intense.
Yes.
Right.
So there are several topics that I'm not sure how to broach it, but related is that we're more corrupt than people realize. Our system of government is much more corrupt. We've had that with the TPP that Alex, you're also involved in, wonderful activist for that as well. So that started an actual federal government above our government that takes away our democracy, and it's just passed through and against the will of the people, and no one let it happen, and people don't appreciate that it's another area of corruption that people don't appreciate. And also bringing it back to Julian Assange, I think people aren't as concerned as they should be because they don't realize the level of corruption. And you've said that a lot yourself, Nozomi, that people don't realize that, well, you said it again today, and it's a constant theme that you bring up, that people don't realize that we're not a democracy.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we have representative democracy, which is different than direct democracy. And as Julian even pointed out, that the goal of WikiLeaks is to create a world where WikiLeaks doesn't have to exist. And WikiLeaks have to exist in the current form of democracy, in this representative system. We need to have transparency, for the consent of governance, so to speak, to actually engage in democracy and hold government officials accountable. We have to be informed. We have to be informed the public, right? So for that, we need to have media. We need to have WikiLeaks, that is willing to bring transparency and to challenge government secrecy. But as Julian said, we wish to have actually, move our society into a more direct democracy where maybe we don't need WikiLeaks, because there is no levers of control for anyone to abuse. If we create a completely decentralized system, that changes our security assumption, because we don't have to have this checks and balance of power if there is no power, if you know what I mean, right? Yeah, we have to do that, checks and balance of power, only if there are levers of control. Once we remove levers of control, we don't have to do that, That's a kind of twisted. I mean, it requires a kind of imagination to think to build a new system. And we are, I think, many political activists are addicted to this idea of holding government accountable and the checks and balance of power. It's addictive, right? Because then we engage ourselves into this illusion of control. And this new system that invention like WikiLeaks or Bitcoin bring is a completely new one that engages us to imagine a completely different system where there are no levers of control, and which is hard for us to imagine because we never had that system like that. Yeah.
It's funny though, because I hear so many people, well, that's just not possible, or
right,
whatever.
that's not
but
possible.
you read history, and that's what everybody said when we were in feudalism, and then when we were in
right. That's not possible. But if you look at nature, that's how that's the force working in nature. You can find the decentralization, and it's humans who somehow try to rebel against this wisdom inherent in nature, and somehow think in our mind that we actually have a better way to govern ourselves, a better way to create a better system better than nature. and we are trying to compete against nature when, you know, it's not possible. You know, nature has inherent wisdom that is wiser than our intelligence, you know. So I think that, you know, these technical inventions in some ways trying to connect with this wisdom inherent in nature through the means of decentralization.
Who has spelt that out the best or most explicitly, Nozomi? Is it an ongoing process that people have to work out the details, like from top down? From you've described a decentralized system, and the tools that you have are cryptocurrency and
I mean cryptocurrency, but it's specifically the Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin uses a certain algorithm, a consensus algorithm, which doesn't have the centralized, choke point. It doesn't have central control. So, you know, not all the cryptocurrencies are made equal. I mean, some have Ripple, for instance, is a centralized cryptocurrency. I mean, has a central control. So, you know, Bitcoin is specific, unique in that, you know. And so, yeah, I think decentralized cryptocurrency, that's certainly a tool that I don't think many of us actually understand. The disruptive potential that this technology has in radically changing the way we organize our society.
I was talking to a realtor the other day, and he's having financial problems, and I was telling him, well, maybe you should look into some cryptocurrencies and stuff. And he's like, well, if you're a millionaire, maybe I'd listen to you or whatever. But I'm just waiting for it to just take off, because you see more and more countries getting cryptocurrencies and stuff, which is kind of scary, because what you were saying about decentralized and centralized, or they're trying to like centralize it and make it so, you know, they control all the transactions, and it loses its original purpose then.
Right, and then now the government is engaged in eradicating cash, you know, and the cash actually give us privacy.
Yeah.
Right,
totally.
And without cash, when nowadays transactions become all digital, recorded, and you know, we have to provide identity to have a bank account and all that stuff. And if we don't have a cash, that's, you know, it's really the destruction of our privacy and freedom. And also the debasement of currency also, you know,
it sounds really harmless too, but like, you know, how, you know, you won't talk to somebody if you're like a group doesn't agree with them kind of thing, or you won't associate with people.
Right.
You know, if your transactions are out there, the same kind of psychology will happen, and you won't donate to WikiLeaks, or you won't do whatever.
Right. So money is part of free speech, and you know, with Bitcoin, money is basically information, right? And so it's a speech, and anybody who trying to control the flow of currency, they have ability to restrict and censor speech. So I think Bitcoin is really enables the First Amendment right that is attached to money, which we never had before. So that's quite exciting in some ways, yeah. And then you are right, you know, the money that the Coinbase is a Bitcoin exchange that actually engaged in censorship of transactions that are you know, the people in the U.S. Trying to send money to WikiLeaks, and then the Coinbase censored that particular form of speech. So you know, Bitcoin itself doesn't have the censorship, but you know, exchanges that are built on the interface between the you know, Bitcoin and existing financial system, they can introduce choke point, introduce levers of control to censor and restrict the flow of information. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's coming on 11 o'clock, so we've been going at this for 3 hours, I think, although a lot of it was setting up time. It's been a wonderful discussion, and I don't want to end it on one side, but on the other hand, I think we should have something of reasonable length, and people, you have to go, obviously, Alex, you're going on vacation. Is that
about an hour?
Okay, so I suppose bring the topic back to Julian. So I actually sort of invited you people on as sort of some of my favorite like activists and the things you do and your creativity and ability to communicate as well. So I suppose, what do people see as the prospects for Julian, and what ideas do you have, and maybe a message for Julian as well, and then we could wrap up would be a good idea, I think.
Yeah, what I think will happen is, you know, the media and you know, the Trump administration and everything, they keep screwing up with their efforts to persecute him, and I think it's going to keep putting more people on his side, or just the side of journalism. Yes. And you know, just keep you know, engaging people and you know, making content or whatever. And
say what you do, Quinn, because you do so many things. So
yeah. So I've just been making content for the Unity for J stuff. I bought a laptop and got a program or whatever, video editing program, and then I just started kind of taking the content from Discord and editing it into videos. And yeah, I'm currently making one right now. So if anybody wants to participate, just message me on Discord, propaganda. And yeah, I'm making another video of people saying I support Julian Assange's right to publish.
Yes.
And I figured that message was good because people don't have to necessarily like Julian or whatever. They just need to support his right to publish anything. So I was going to get as many as I could. And I got Joe. Joe's my first one because I forgot to put him in the last one. So yeah, I'm just making that video, and then Paula is helping me get people signed on.
Priscilla, yes.
Yeah.
And you do other things. You hand out first to me.
Yeah, I made bookmarks for Susie's Decipher You, and then I started making Unity for J ones, and I would like sneak them in. I'd go to like chapters. There's like a really big one in Edmonton where I live, and I'd just, you know, spend like an hour in the political section or in the comedy section, and just like stuff bookmarks inside of the books and stuff. Or I'd just go past like newspaper stands and put articles in them and stuff. A couple of people let me put like Wikibees posters in their shops and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. So just little stuff like that.
Yeah, you do lots of things, and then your everyone's Twitter account here is really good. So I'll certainly post that out. And what we're going to, do you have a message for Julian, I suppose? We could do that at the end. So I do want to, I will indulge myself a little bit, if you excuse me, to share something that was going on, something that I was trying to do at a very poor level. I'll share it. Trying to some of his quotes, to do flyers with some of his quotes. One of the best ways to achieve justice is to expose injustice. If wars can be started by lies, peace can be started by truth. Just educating people in the way, some of the quote, I think probably some of your favorite quotes too, Nozomi. The goal is justice, the method is transparency. And the importance of the First Amendment that you've been stressing. We embarked on a mission to bring the First Amendment to the world. Little did we realize that our greatest struggle would come in 2010 as we tried to bring the First Amendment to the United States. Nozomi, you've talked about that a lot.
That's my favorite. I mean, this really captures, right, what's happening. I mean, yeah, this is my favorite. Yeah.
So people can print these off, and they also have little tear tabs that tell you where to get this file to print it off. You can get it from the Unity4J server, or you can also get it by through an email. And I've done a very bad job of this because I'm not a graphics artist, but some people are at least starting on this. And I did want to share something with, do you know the user bifilarcoil on, you might have seen in Quinn and graphics channel. And
yeah.
He's in Holland, and he started distributing these flyers on trains. He thought it would be a good idea. So he put 2 in every carriage of trains going different cities in Holland. And I promised him that I'd read out a little bit of what he did, because I thought he also has lots of brilliant ideas as well. I sort of see him sort of in the same category that I regard you people like very good ideas and also executing on them. So I'm looking in the Discord. I'm afraid I won't share it because it's a private message, but yeah, he asked where the file was for these sheets, and he said, I want to sellotape a few copies around the Palace of Justice tomorrow. This must be in Holland, where he is. And then I asked him how it went.
The website?
Sorry?
Is he the one that does the website?
No, that's Bjorn.
He does all the animated GIFs and things. Yeah, you know, the little
the WikiBees GIF and stuff.
Yeah, a few of them.
Cool.
So he was going to post them on a lamppost, and then he came back. Part of my plan was tackled by the rain, but a few alternatives turned out to work pretty good. Put 2 sheets in every train segment when I went on the train. And when I arrived, I walked back to check and placed a few more sheets. And by then, many people had ripped a little piece off and took it with them, which is the idea, those little tear tabs. So even though we don't see many Dutch people here, he's in Holland, I'm surprised to see I still reached a few grumpy people. So he got the message out. The good part is that the train still moved on to the middle of the country. So I had a much wider range then by taping the sheet, that range than by taping the sheets on lamppost posts. And the sheets stayed nice and dry in the train as well. So he's got a new building on previous ideas. He's adding to it. That's when we work together and add little bits, he makes it even better. So leaving flyers, folders, and press releases in the train seems to be a small success. He says the London Tube would be a good target. Intercity trains. The beauty is that the paper is on the move through the country without the need to go there yourself. I like what he's doing, so I'm just reading his stuff. We need the website as a newspaper and then flyers to advertise the website so that people start reading the website when sitting on the train. So he's thinking even further that have like a Julian Assange newspaper. I know Kitty Hundo does something like that, and then advertise it on the train, and so the commuters going into work, they see the flyer and then say, oh, that might be an interesting read, and they read about Julian Assange.
Yeah, Caitlin Johnstone proposed something like that. She found a template for a little cutout that created a tiny book that anyone could make with just a simple scissor cut and then folding it up. And they were pamphlets that you printed on an A4 piece of paper that made a tiny, cute little book that people were leaving in cafes and things.
Yes.
That went well for her for a while, I think.
I've just realized that I am sharing the Discord, aren't I? I wasn't going to do that. I'm sorry, I must have done that by accident. But so I hope bifilarcoil doesn't mind me doing this. So I just leave it at that. But he's taken that and run with it and made it better. And I think we do have so many options if we're creative, and we can also amplify them on the web. So we have a very good chance, I think. Okay. Oh, so I'll ask you again. Maybe Nozomi. So you're doing an article at the moment, aren't you, Nozomi?
Yeah, I'm trying to finish it by today, hopefully.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
Reporting on basically the recent German, parliamentary members' visit to Julian. I think that news has to be, widely out. It's a good news. We need to amplify good news.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that'll be.
The new ruling from the UN again is good news as well, isn't it? It's all been coming this week. Yeah. Everything's happening.
So.
Yeah, there might be an avalanche effect. I'm just hoping. I mean, at any moment it could go bad, and at any moment it could suddenly take off and go well. So really uncertain times, and who knows what's happening. But and you just did a wonderful event, Alex. And do you have anything else you're working on, or any?
Yeah, Timothy and I, who did Emperor's New Clothes with Unity Line, we're working on another one right now. He keeps on writing love songs, and I don't think that it's quite appropriate to make them Julian Assange love songs. But yeah, we're working on a new song, and the one that I posted on Christmas Eve, New Zealand time, Let the Light In, is actually Alex Taylor, violinist in London, who got thrown off the streets and his violin confiscated, I think, by the police.
Yeah, I'd love to get that story. I'd love to have him on to tell that story, actually.
Yeah, well, I've just shared with you in the chat a video link. He couldn't make it today because he's out and about in London at the moment, but he's shared that, which is his statement on his
cool. Share that.
And he's already talking about new projects as well. So as well as Timothy and I working on another political, maybe light-hearted song, I think perhaps we'll do another one, and we'll try and get Maria singing again, like she did.
Lovely.
Yeah. So I posted it about 5 a.m. On Christmas Eve. And I think by about 3 or 4 hours, it had 100,000 impressions. It's now up to about 51,000 views just on Twitter. So I'm actually blown away. I've got like 1,000 followers, so that's just amazing. I can't actually believe it. So Unity4J people are posting it out, and there's a whole bunch of people on Facebook sharing it as well. So it just did really well. I was quite delighted because it's my first video edit, really.
Yeah. I'm sorry if there's some background noise there. I don't know if you heard it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So I think we opened with that, I believe, Joe. Is that right?
Yeah, in our first break, yeah, we did that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful video, and I think we can close with that as well. And we should also include one of Meg's videos to close as well, since she was on here and she apologized that she had to leave. But yeah, do
you want to share that video that Alex sent?
Well, we're just wrapping up, I think, Joe. So we can close with those videos. Just if that's all right, like have our final thoughts. And sorry to interrupt you, Alex. I was trying to frantically close off that video. Oh, are you talking about the video from the other Alex?
Let the Light In. Yeah, Alex Taylor and I did a violin duet. We're calling it a trans-hemisphere violin duet. That's the one I posted on Christmas Eve that went quite well, mini viral for me anyway. And so, yeah, we're talking about doing another production soon. I mean, he sent me that song probably back in August, and it's taken me this long to put it together, but I think it's kind of appropriate for Christmas anyway, so got it together just in time.
Yeah, that's excellent. And sorry if I missed it because I was shutting off that sound, but did you say again, like the retweets that you got? Did you mention who retweeted you on that video?
Oh yes, so yeah, within a couple of hours I had Christine Wikileaks
Assange.
Christine Assange, Assange misses. I had Wikileaks and Jorge Glass all tweeted out in a couple of hours, which helped it why it did so well, I think. So I'm so grateful for that. Amazing.
And we know who Jorge Glass is, but could you tell us who he is?
So I believe he just had a 52-day hunger strike. He's the ex-vice president of Ecuador.
Yes.
Administration that helped Julian. And as we know, the ex-president of Ecuador is being pursued in Europe at the moment, I understand. And I believe that he's had no one's been able to get him arrested over there. So people are resisting, luckily. But he's finished his hunger strike now, and I don't know if it's someone else running his account or like a person keeping his account going, or whether it is actually him. I have no idea.
He's still in prison.
Yeah. So I'm sure he can't have his phone. So it's obviously his
probably
campaign.
His wife, maybe.
Yeah, or wife. Yeah.
Yeah, but that really connects in with Jose Rivera has been doing reports from Ecuador, and this Jorge Glass is quite a hero in Ecuador and truly an admirable person. And he's been locked in prison, and we thought he was going to die. I thought he was going to die from a hunger strike. Yeah. He's still in terrible conditions. So that connects it all. So so that's one, and I think we'll wrap up with that and another one from Meg, Joe. But after maybe a few final words for Julian, maybe we should just go around and just wish him a Merry Christmas, and then we'll wrap up if that's all right. Oh, Joe.
Yeah.
Sorry. Is there anything else you want to add, Joe? I mean, you've been doing the technical director stuff and probably listening, but you've got a little kid on you, maybe.
I got kid and family chaos. So can't really communicate too well.
Yes.
But I'm wishing Julian all the best this Christmas and in the new year. Obviously, freedom would be an awesome thing for him. But anything I can do to try and help, I do, and that's what I continue to do. So I'm generally here to enable all the rest of you to unlock some of that potential you got, because we all got something we can do, and we all got something we can say, and sometimes it is that one step, but if others can stand with you and help you take that step, then it all becomes a much greater effort. So it's fantastic to see you all gathered here on Christmas for Julian. And just on a technical note, David's PC went offline about 10 minutes ago, so we're still trying to resurrect that, but we're all got a recording anyway, so it's all good.
Yes, I think we've got several recordings, hopefully, so we're pretty sure we've got the recording of this. I think. Quinn, do you want to wish Merry Christmas to Julian? just to wrap up. You're muted.
Yeah, I just wanted to say Merry Christmas, and I seen a video the other day of Julian speaking on the balcony about getting his Ecuadorian citizenship, and there was just heckling going on below, and all I could think is just how rude people are to him, and even if it's not, my first thoughts was that it was like paid CIA people that go there just to heckle him, and I just want him to know that there's plenty of good people like us that are mature enough to see that and wouldn't do that, even if we were your enemy. So, Merry Christmas.
Thanks. Who else? Alex, do you want to say?
Well, yeah, I mean, I want to say obviously Merry Christmas to Julian, but again, there are so many people supporting. It looks like there's only tiny numbers, but it's global, and anyone you talk to, it's about people being shy about getting up and putting your neck on the block for WikiLeaks. I think that it's more that, because when you go and talk to your average person, as soon as you talk to them, they go, oh yeah, I've forgotten about that, you know. So I feel like it's just an amnesia, and that really out there is a huge groundswell of support, and I want him to feel encouraged. I just hope that he sees what we're trying to do, and how many people are trying to fight for him, and doesn't get discouraged by that what looks like small audiences. I don't believe it really is. And most importantly, I mean, stay alive, keep fighting, you know, keep the strength up however you can. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's obviously an incredibly strong person. So I really hope that it's not going to be much longer until he's free and we can hear him talk again. Yeah.
Oh, thanks very much, Alex. Nozomi, do you want to say some final words for Julian?
Well, yeah, Merry Christmas to you, Julian, and I want you to know that there are people who care. There are people who care enough to defend the principle of democracy and risk their lives in a way that you did for all of us, and you know, keep fighting. And you know, you have made tremendous sacrifice for, you know, to really help us redeem these Enlightenment ideals that once inspired all of us. So yeah, I want you to know that he's not alone.
Oh, thanks very much. Yeah, so we wrap up. It's been a wonderful session. So Merry Christmas, Julian, and it's been a privilege to do this session. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.